My family, as you can see, there is so much violence in Britain right now. We are seeing countries issuing travel advisories, warning their people about traveling to the UK. We've seen America, Australia, Malaysia, Nigeria, all these countries issuing travel advisories, warning their people that clearly it is unsafe to travel to the UK. Warning their people that it is dangerous to travel to the UK. And clearly, as you can see, it's very, very dangerous what's happening in the UK right now. And my family, amidst all this chaos that we are seeing in Britain right now, people have been asking, where is the king? Where is King Charles? Why is the king so quiet? Why is the king so silent? And my family, Peter Hunt is a former BBC royal correspondent. And my family, he posted a comment on X, formerly called Twitter, saying this, and I quote, "We have a silent head of state. The palace spin talks of bridge building in private." Meaning that the palace right now are saying that there are talks of bridge building in private being done behind the scenes. Peter Hunt then says, and I quote, "Charles is meant to be a unifying figure who champions religious tolerance and mutual respect. Yet he said nothing about racism and rioting. It is an untenable position. If not now, when?" My family, for me, what I find so funny is that someone actually expects that King Charles, who has never even once condemned racism towards Meghan, his own daughter-in-law, towards Archie and Lilibet, his own grandkids, someone can actually expect that kind of a person to come out and even condemn racism. Surely, you know, my family, some people are just hopeful that maybe they'll see something that will happen, a miracle, and that maybe for once we'll see Charles condemning racism. Even Harry himself, even Prince Harry, hoped that for once his own family would condemn racism. Even Harry himself hoped, even pleaded, even called for people like his father to condemn racism. And Charles has never ever condemned racism towards Meghan. Not even once. He has never ever condemned racism towards Archie. Not even once. He has never ever condemned racism towards Lilibet. Even once. And now someone expects him to condemn racism towards minorities in the UK. And you expect Charles to do that. My family, it isn't wrong to be hopeful. However, it is wrong to be hopeful that someone like Charles, who has never ever condemned racism towards his own family members, towards his own grandkids, will somehow condemn racism against minorities. don't be hopeful, because Charles is not going to do that. He isn't. He isn't. He isn't. And my family, also, before I even say anything further, let me show you what Prince Harry said in an interview with Good Morning Americans, Michael Strahan. My family, please kindly hear this, please. Even Harry was hopeful. Even Harry was calling for the royal family to even just condemn racism towards Meghan. They never did. My family, kindly please hear this, please, kindly.
And, recently, within the last couple of months, the King of the Netherlands and the King of Norway have led by example.
The King of the Netherlands has acknowledged and apologized for the role that slavery and colonialism took in shaping the country, and is taking steps to try to ensure that its citizens do not feel that they are being discriminated against. And the King of Norway has recently come to the defense of his daughter and her fiancé, who is black. The couple have been subject to racist remarks and comments. The King has asked for both unconscious and conscious racism to be stopped.
And I congratulate them for that enormously. And I don't think they've been given enough credit for what they've done. But it is huge. And
more of that is needed, and more of that is needed, and more of that is needed. Prince Harry spoke of the King of Netherlands, my family. And as clearly as you've heard, they've both come out and condemned racism. But Charles has never done that. When Harry was using that example, he hoped, I believe he hoped, his own family would somehow change. His own extended family, his father, his brother would come out and finally condemn racism. My family, they have never ever condemned racism towards Meghan. Lilibet, just early this year, was being attacked over a name her parents lovingly gave her as a tribute in honor of the late Queen Elizabeth II. Just earlier this year, we saw Lilibet being bullied over a name. And not once, even once, did Charles come out and say, "This is my dearly beloved granddaughter. I love her. I care for her. She is special. She's amazing. She's charming." Not once has Charles come out to say that, to even condemn the bullying of Lilibet over a name. Not even once. But someone out there clings on to hope that maybe Charles will finally say something. If he does, it will be a miracle. My family, it will be a miracle. The fact is, the monarchy is a racist institution. The monarchy in Britain, my family, it's a racist institution. And my family, as you've seen, the firm, Charles&William, have rejected Meghan, a woman of color who fell in love with Prince Harry. They have rejected Meghan as Harry's wife. They have rejected Meghan completely as being a part of the royal family. And for those who wonder why, number one, Meghan's race. Number two, the fact that when Meghan and Harry got together, they became way more popular than William and Kate. And that caused William and Kate Middleton to be so jealous of both Harry and Meghan. And they wanted Meghan gone. And they wanted things back to how it was, whereby Prince Harry was the third wheel, single, and following William and Kate around, having no life of his own, having no kids of his own. They found that's what they wanted. And clearly, that's what they still want for Prince Harry even right now. You know, in my family, someone expects Charles to come out and condemn the racism you're seeing that is clearly rampant in Britain. That the government has even denied, saying that there is no racism in the UK. You know, whereby, for example, the Tory government, before they lost the election, they were saying, what racism? What racism? And my family, right now, everyone can see the racism. The whole world can see the racism that is rampant in Britain. My family, I have seen horrifying scenes of what is going on in the UK. You know? And my family, honestly, the silence of the royal family is very, very telling. You know? And even Dr. Shola herself, someone I deeply admire and respect, posted a comment on X, formerly called Twitter, saying this, and I quote, "Where is King Charles, the unelected head of state, while the country he is meant to serve blows up in race riots, when black and brown British lives are in fear of their lives, liberty, and livelihoods? The silence from the British monarch is deafening." Posted Dr. Shola. My family, yes, indeed, I agree. The silence is very, very deafening. However, let me just add one more thing. Let me add one more point of thought. My family, you and I know for a fact, because this has been widely reported on by multiple media outlets in the UK. You know? Do you know that if you are a staff member, you know, who works for the royal family, and you experience any kind of racism in the royal family, do you know you cannot sue for racial discrimination in the royal family? Do you know that? My family, do you know why you can't sue? You can't sue because the royal family has secured exemptions in law. The royal family has secured exemptions, you know, in law, whereby they cannot be sued for racial discrimination in the family. They cannot be sued for racial discrimination in my family. They can't be sued for that. And also, we do know for a fact that Buckingham Palace banned ethnic minorities from office roles, and yet someone expects Charles to come out and say something about what's happening in the UK, about the far-right attacks on minorities. Here's some newsflash for everybody. The fish rots from the head. And my family, what we are seeing here, for a fact, is that my family, these attacks on minorities began straight from the royal family, straight from the highest level of the class system in Britain, the British monarchy. It started straight from the top, whereby basically even the Guardian reported, and my family, let me read you this headline kindly. Buckingham Palace banned ethnic minorities from office roles. You know? And my family, so here's what also has been reported on. So my family, you know, according to newly discovered documents that will reignite the debate over Britain's royal family and race. The documents shed light on how Buckingham Palace negotiated controversial clauses that remain in place to this day, exempting King Charles and his household from laws that prevent race and sex discrimination, meaning if you experience racism in the palace, you cannot sue and accuse them of racial discrimination of family. And somehow the person who is a beneficiary of this law, King Charles right now, is someone who's expected to give a unifying address to the public. My family, I laugh because of the hypocrisy that I'm seeing. I laugh because of the blatant hypocrisy I am seeing. That's why I'm laughing. Let's be quite frank with you. The situation is painful. It is painful, and I've seen people suffering. I have seen minorities scared of leaving their homes. So yeah, it is painful to see what they are experiencing. But my family, at the same time, expecting Charles, who's the king, to be or act as a unifying figure. My family, that's just a whole lot of propaganda nonsense. My family, that's propaganda. Because my family, Charles himself has never ever been someone who you can say values family unity. If he did, he would never ever have cheated on Diana with Camilla Parker Bowles, who is now his wife. The mistress became the wife. And now both of them have done everything in their power to try and destroy Harry and Meghan's lives. And they're still trying to destroy Harry and Meghan's lives. How do you call Charles a unifying figure? That's a puzzle to me. Understand that, of course, there are expectations. Even in my country, my family, the president is the head of state. He's supposed to be the symbol of unity in the country. Even in my country. Even in the UK, head of state, the king, he is expected to be a symbol of unity. But when you see someone like Charles, who has a poor, or even you can say, who has basically, no contact with his own son, Prince Harry, how can you call him a symbol of unity? Because even if Charles pretends to be a symbol of national unity, he'll be called out for his hypocrisy. Someone like me will ask, Charles, how can you claim to be a symbol of unity, yet you don't even have a relationship with your own son? Yet you won't even intervene and use your power to get your son security that he wants, that he desires, to keep his family safe. How can you say you're a symbol of national unity, Charles? How? How can you say you're a symbol of unity when Charles, right now, for a long time, everyone can see how dysfunctional the royal family in Britain truly is. How can you claim to be a unifying figure, Charles? Really? How? How can you claim to be a unifying figure, Charles? How? I want to understand how. That's what I would ask. That's what I would ask. How do you claim to be a unifying figure, yet you leak and brief negative stories about your son to to the British media who abuse your son and bully your son, and you don't lift a finger to even condemn the bullying of your son because you're part of the abuse. You're part of the bullying. If you don't even have a good relationship with your own son, how can you claim to be a unifying figure? How? My family, that's the hypocrisy that will call out Charles for. My family, that's the hypocrisy that we will call out Charles for. My family. And even someone called Emma posted a comment saying this, and I quote, "Of course he's silent. He could not even be bothered to call out the racism that has been directed at his own daughter-in-law and his own grandkids. I'm not surprised he's silent. Their silence proves Meghan right yet again. And Prince Harry himself has been pleading to them, say something, say something, say something, say something. Harry has been pleading for a long time. Even last year he was pleading. Say something, say something, say something. Condemn the abuse, condemn the racism, condemn the bullying, condemn it." And senior members of the royal family, Charles, William, Kate, Camilla, have never ever condemned the bullying of Meghan. In fact, even in Spare, Prince Harry himself told us of how he tried to appeal to Charles. He tried to appeal to his father for assistance, to please help Meghan, a woman of color. Help her. Because of how UK media were harassing Meghan, Harry was pleading for help. And my family, Charles, would not lift a finger to help. My family, let me read you what Harry said in Spare. And that way, nobody should expect anything from Charles. Nobody should ever expect anything from Charles. He's a failure as king. He's a failure as a father to Prince Harry. He's a failure as a grandfather to Archie and Lilibet. He is a failure as a husband to the late Princess Diana. The guy failed at everything. He fails at everything. Don't expect much from Charles ever. Do not. My family, let me kindly read you this from Harry's memoir Spare. And I quote, "That dinner with Doria was wonderful, but I look back on it now as the end of the beginning. The next day, the paparazzi photos appeared, and there was a new flood of stories, a new surge along the many channels of social media. Racism, misogyny, criminal stupidity, it all increased. Not knowing where else to turn, I phoned Pa. My family, if you have an issue, if you have a problem, you're a child, you call your dad asking for assistance, right? And that's what Harry did. And then Harry said, and I quote, "Don't really, darling boy. It is not that simple," I said angrily. "I might lose this woman. She might either decide I'm not worth the bother, or the press might so poison the public that someone might do something bad, harm her in some way. It was already happening in slow motion. Death threats, her workplace on lockdown because someone reacted to what they read, had made a credible threat. She is isolated," I said. "She is isolated," I said, "and afraid. She has not raised the blinds in her house for months, and you are telling me not to read it?" He said I was overreacting. This is sadly just the way it is. Oh boy. Whenever I read this stuff, I feel so sad for Prince Harry for having someone like Charles as his father. I feel like Charles will always disappoint Harry over and over and over and over again. Always. Let me continue reading this, please. I appealed to his self-interest. Doing nothing was a terrible look for the monarchy. People out there have strong feelings about what's happening to her. They take it personally. You need to understand that he was unmoved. He was unmoved. And you are hoping someone like that can come out and be a unifying figure. It isn't bad to hope, but my family, even if he does come out, let's say my family is a miracle, he comes out and says something. My family, the guy knows he's full of hypocrisy. He knows he's full of hypocrisy. He knows it. He knows it. Because the whole world knows he's never ever said a thing to condemn racism towards Meghan. Never. Not even once. And my family, don't forget also that Prince Harry wrote a letter to condemn racism towards Meghan. Don't forget that, please, my family, you know? And my family, after Harry wrote a letter to condemn racism towards Meghan, and my family, the thing is, condemning racism towards people of color, towards anybody, is the right thing to do. Is the right thing to do. If you have a son at home or a daughter who condemns racism, misogyny, xenophobia, hate, you have a good child. You have a good child. You've raised your child well. If you have a child that condemns racism, misogyny, bigotry, any kind of hate, you have a good child. And you as a parent should be proud of the child you have. You should be joyful that you have an amazing child. But here's what happened. When Charles and William found out that Prince Harry had condemned racism towards Meghan. Kindly please hear this, and I quote. In fact, my statement condemning racism towards Meghan generated a whole new onslaught from my family. Pa and Willie were furious. They gave me an earful. My statement made them look bad. They both said, why in hell? Because they never put out a statement for their girlfriends or wives when they were being harassed. So because you allow your boyfriends to your girlfriends, why should Prince Harry be a lousy boyfriend to his? Why? Why? And my family, when someone calls it a toxic institution, you're being accused of somehow trying to destroy the whole family, when you're simply only telling the truth. Any father, any mother should be proud that their kids condemn racism, condemns bigotry, misogyny, xenophobia. Any parent should be proud. But Charles and William were angry. They were angry. And that tells you what you need to know about Charles and William. It tells you what you need to know about Charles and William. They can never ever be unifying figures. They can never ever be unifying figures. Never. Never, ever, 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 ever. They can't. They can't. You know? We all know that my family, the royal family are a dysfunctional family, unworthy of being called a family. How then can they be a symbol of national unity? How? How can they be unifying figures? How? How? Please, somebody explain to me, how can they be unifying figures? How? We are learning that Charles won't even take his own son's phone call. Charles is someone who can take away his own son's security. When he knows fully well his son and his son's wife are in danger because of the hateful rhetoric of the media that Charles and William have been part of, that Charles and William have approved. He can still have the audacity to take away Harry and Meghan's security? Is that someone you call a unifying figure? Really? 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 Is that someone you call a unifying figure? My family will always keep on exposing hypocrisy. But the thing is, I am glad that people can see what we've been seeing for quite a very long time. And my family, the sad truth is this: Charles will always fail Harry. Charles will always disappoint Harry. It is sad, but true. And my family, Harry is way much better off without having someone toxic like Charles in his life. And right now, I do want to hear your opinion on what we have just discussed. May God bless Harry, Meghan, Archie, and also Lilibet, Diana, and Doria, Raglan, and all of you members who got at home. Hate never wins, love wins, and stay tuned to our next video. Love you also forever, and may God bless you all, my family. And my family, we condemn racism in the strongest terms possible towards minorities in the UK and my family anywhere in the world. We condemn racism in the strongest terms possible. We condemn racism in the strongest terms possible, I repeat. Those are words you are never going to hear from Charles and William. Never. Even someone did say this. The reason why they're quiet is because they can't go against their fan base. If Charles can accept seeing Archie being racially abused and say nothing, if he can allow his granddaughter to be bullied and attacked over a name, there's no way he's ever going to speak up about how far-right extremists are targeting minorities in the UK. No way. No way. And it's sad. It's very, very sad. My family, thank you to the kings of Netherlands and Norway for condemning racism. And shame on Charles and William for emboldening what we are seeing happening in the UK with these far-right attacks. Shame on Charles and William. My family, we even see, for example, the fan base of Charles and William. These hate accounts targeting Meghan. We've seen them make racist comments towards Meghan. We've seen them targeting Archie, Lilibet. That's the base of the royal family. And of course, Charles and William don't want to upset the base, my family. And it's sad. It's so sad to see what we're seeing. It's so sad. Even someone else called Michael East said this, and I quote, "The king is instrumental in hounding the first black member of the royal family out of the country." Clearly, that shows of the racism in the royal family. It shows. And my family, it's so sad. It is so sad. It's really so sad. It's so sad how Charles keeps on hurting Prince Harry. It's so sad. Even right now, Charles keeps on saying how much he wants to see Archie, Lilibet, but he won't even give Archie, Lilibet security for Harry and Meghan to be able to bring them to see him. He won't. He won't, because he doesn't care about them. He doesn't. Even the Queen, when she was alive, she took action to be able to see Archie, Lilibet, Diana. She gave Harry and Meghan security to be able to come over and see her. When has Charles ever done that? He's never done that. My family, once again, Charles will always disappoint Prince Harry. It's sad, but true. But Harry stays strong. You are someone who's a good man. Someone who's a good man with a good heart. And thank goodness you are more like Diana, Harry. Thank goodness. My family, right now, I want to hear your opinion on what we just discussed. May God bless you all. Stay tuned to this video. Love you also forever. And may no weapon formed against Harry, Meghan, Archie, and also Lilibet, Diana ever prosper. my family. God bless you all and stay tuned to our next video. Love was forever. Once again, we condemn racism in the strongest terms possible. Hello, members of Zesco Family TV. First of all, I want to say thank you for all your support that you give us to our channel. We don't take it for granted that you support this channel. I want to say thank you from the bottom of our hearts for lending out your support and fighting against injustices, supporting Prince Harry and Meghan, showing them love. Love will always triumph over evil, and for that I say thank you. Good will always prevail over bad. Thank you so much for all your support. Thank you so much for joining this community, this amazing community of Zesco Family TV. I love you so much, family, from the bottom of my heart, and I wish you all the best. May you have a great day, and I hope that you enjoyed this video and learned a lot of things. With that and so much more, stay tuned to our next video. Leave a comment below, like and subscribe. Love you, family, always and forever. Sayonara.